Good morning, everyone. We're at another Sunday session. My name is Chuck Williams, and I'm introducing Roy Masters, a remarkable man in my opinion, my humble opinion, because I'm really nobody. But I recognize something in the way he presented himself and the ideas he was discovering over his lifetime. And it struck a chord in me that I didn't know was there, and it took me on a very unusual journey. It seemed like we had two different lives in two different places, but our paths kept crossing one after the other, and now we're sort of walking side by side for a time. And I would advise you to listen carefully to what he says and what he doesn't say, because there's a message in here far beyond the words. And with those mysterious introduction, Roy, I'd hand it over to you.
Thank you. What's the name of the TV that Donald Trump likes so much? I keep forgetting the
Fox News?
Fox, yes. I watch Fox, and I see how intellectual they are. And intellectualism is a form of insanity, because you've imbibed all kinds of information as if it was gospel truth, and it's not. You may have all the words, but no understanding of what you're saying. And so therefore you have a left and a right, and both are wrong. The right, well, they see what's wrong, but they don't understand why it's wrong. They don't understand where right comes from. There's a state of mind that all of us must have. And I will keep saying this to the end of my life. You cannot have emotion. Emotion is for animals. And if you have emotion, you're in conflict with your human. That's the cause of anxiety and every single thing that ever happened on earth. Disease, war, divorce, misery, suffering. If you could drop your emotion, which you cannot do it. It's impossible. The more you try to conquer your emotions, knowing that the emotion is not good, the worse you become. So even though you have a good attitude and you want to get rid of the emotion, but it's not up to you to do it. It's up to God to take it away. And that's all, because then you don't have the energy that you once had that was negative. Emotion is negative. When Adam fell from grace, he fell from the positive to the negative. And that's the animal emotion. And we all have these animal emotions, and we do the best we can with what we got. And having said that, I think, did you see my tweet this morning?
No, I didn't.
Did anybody see my tweet? Oh. But I know how to fight a war. I know how to help the soldiers, prevent them from a post-traumatic stress disorder. Literally prevent them and cause the enemy to have what they gave to our soldiers. They will have the post-traumatic stress disorder and die. Do you have any idea how many soldiers die from post-traumatic stress disorder? It's 10 times the one that get killed in
the battle.
Yeah. Yes. And so I have been given a gift, and everything I'm saying, I do not prepare. I'm looking at my mouth. I'm glad you're not looking at you're looking at it. I mean, I saying things that come through me. I do not prepare anything. But I did have one thought that I need to share, which would cover a whole much, a big much I'm not speaking very well, but that's my English for the time being. I have something that you may not like. I'm going to ask you a question, and just think of the answer yourself. Is everybody on earth, are we always good? And is good that we think of good enough? No. And then you have the bad. Well, that's obvious. That's bad. But the danger is to think of good as good with your idea of what good is, being nice to people, etc., etc. But I think Jesus Christ said something. He says that the Jewish people were amazed, and I mentioned it last week, that he had all this education. Use a different set of words.
He seemed to understand without
He
the
understood
education.
everything. He understood everything, but it wasn't all at once. It's coming through him. In other words, all I want is what's coming through me for the moment. And it must not be from me. It has to be through me. Okay? I almost threw myself that time.
But the me that's in us now, the ego me, is standing in the way.
Well, I don't see that about you.
No, but I'm saying that's what we have to realize. I got to not touch the microphone. That's what we have to realize, that what we think is us, our mind and our intellect and our ability.
No,
and
it's
our
either
talents.
it's either the devil or our creator.
That's right.
And the devil comes in the form of your parent.
Yes, and the devil supports what you think
There
of
is
as
a
you.
devil. There is a devil, and you'll never see him. I hope you never see him anyway.
The only way you'll see him is if you come to reality, and he can't stand in your
I
presence.
had an experience, just for what it's worth, department. I came from Houston to America.
To California.
To
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. And I'm sleeping in the trailer. There's no room full of books and stuff and records. I turned over on the floor, and all of a sudden, without any reason, rhyme or reason, all of a sudden everything went black. I have never seen black like that. In my eyes, black. It's like I had no eyes. And all of a sudden my hand closed and my ears turn up and my mouth was shaped differently. And deep down, I could sense something evil. And all I said, God. That's all I said. I'm all normal again. I had an exorcism. I don't know how I got it. I have a rough idea how I got it, and I'm not going to tell you about it either. But still,
It was there.
it was there. And it just came out, and I shouted out, "Oh, God." And it disappeared like that.
But it's not just the word, oh God, it's that you knew that God was there, and you were enough in his presence that when you cried, it was your soul crying.
Another person saying the same thing would be damned and have a terrible problem that nobody can cure. Nobody. There is no cure on earth that's real. All of your medicine, etc., etc., is not really a cure. It is a way of keeping you alive, hopefully living long enough to see what's wrong with you. But if you're not interested in seeing what's wrong with you, the tendency is that you will go to the doctor and he will fix you and he will make you feel better and then you get worse again, and then you feel better again. And then it goes on for years and years and years and years, and you die having never lived. Chemistry. The whole idea of chemistry, medicine has a value. It keeps you alive long enough to see what's wrong with you. All problems begin with something very, very tiny. Very, very tiny. It's very small. It's the act of being born. And the act of being born is that you're a baby and you are subject to the mother and the failing father. The mother needs to be corrected, but the father does not have virtue. He doesn't have any authority because he's born of a woman. He wasn't born of God. The big difference. Adam was born different. And there's a system. So everything's upside down. And a man cannot love a woman. He can only lust. And that's it. I want to just say that because I've said it before, but just to start the program a little bit, to remind you that if you're a man, and if you can call yourself a man, you have to understand the reason why you have unhappiness is because you do not have authority. You don't have a Jesus authority. I'm Jewish. You don't have a Jesus authority. So, and the Jesus authority is like this. God gives Jesus energy, and he gives him what he needs to do with the energy. And the energy that I'm referring to is not on this earth, but it needs to become in this earth or on this earth inside a person. Because a person who does not have this cannot cure anything properly. I know lots of people go to the grave having never lived, meaning they've been eating, drinking, drugging, and medicine, medicating, everything, so they're alive, but they're dead. It's a living dead. And you can see the living dead. I'm 70 years old, 90 years old. See, I really am getting old because I said I was 70.
I'm 70.
Yeah, so I just thought I was you.
Just to let you know.
But you see, there is something required, and it can be required very easy. It's like falling off something. And if it's falling off a log, that's easy. You fall off a log, especially when it's in the water. But it's very simple. There's nothing to it. There's nothing for you to do except having a longing in your heart for the purpose of life. Now, I can remember in my mother's womb, or when I was just a little boy and 6 months old, I had an intuition. And when I look back on it, I can remember that I was only about 6 or 7 or 8 months old, but I could actually think. But one of the things that I thought was, and the only one that I remember, is something putting some words in me that weren't words, but you can actually describe them as words in different languages. It's an intuitive thing. An intuitive thing has no words. It becomes words when you have a need for communication.
Yeah, communication.
Yeah. And it says, what's life about? What's the meaning of life? I remember that. And I had no answer. I just remembered, what's the meaning of life? And as I grew older, I thought of it, and when I thought of it, I can remember one time when I thought of it, I was next to the window where the air raid siren is in those days. And there it came. What's the meaning of life? And all of a sudden, while I was contemplating it, something says, if you do that, if you follow that, you will die. But that didn't stop me. It didn't stop me. It's just interesting. But anyway, I began to realize that I just read last week about Jesus, and he says, of myself, I can do nothing roughly. That's not what I said last week, but that's what it means. He says, it's God coming through me. He's telling me what to do. He says, I do not speak of myself. I speak of what my Father wants me to speak and do, that kind of thing. And that is not accurate, but it's what it's meaning. And so every human being who is other than that seems to be normal. And in their goodness, they seem to be good. But in that goodness, there's a weakness, because the goodness comes from other people thinking you're good, because you can't think of yourself good. You can't. It's very difficult. You have to keep proving it, and then you become a slave of it. So the knowledge of good and the knowledge of evil, they're both the same. The knowledge of good is a lie, and it always will be. So anything you do good isn't good. It is a way of showing you how gracious you are, and to be applauded for it, so to speak. Isn't he a wonderful person? Even if he doesn't say it, you know. And so I'm coming back to, what's the name of the TV?
Oh, Fox.
Fox News. I keep forgetting it. And maybe I should forget it, because all I hear is blabber. Mm-hmm. And I see they're all intellectual idiots. And I don't mean to be rude, but from where I'm sitting, I can see that all they do is argue. And then they find somebody who has a different idea, and they argue. And they're both wrong, because the right one is not right enough, and the left one is worse. And so nothing ever becomes of it, except things go on the way they shouldn't.
But people come to their table to enjoy this feast of arguing and disagreeing and having ideas.
It's so bloody boring.
Yes.
Excuse me.
It is. I want to go out and take a walk.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing happens. Nothing is cured. Nothing. And so on the left, they're crazy. On the right, they're appeasement. They appease. They don't know how to overcome the overcomer. I can do that in 5 minutes. I remember, if I may say so, and then I'll tell you what I want to say. I've mentioned this before, but when I was young, I had my own self. I've had my own self since I was a little kid, and I could see things and deal with them properly. I never had anger. I never had resentment. All it was is, that's what it is. That's it. And so, in the beginning, they put me on Channel 11 in Los Angeles. And there's 500 people there. And then they got a psychiatrist who's going to make a fool of me. And so I'm not prepared for it. I'm never prepared for it, because it's going to come when it comes. See? So I'm not afraid. I don't have to figure out what I'm going to say, because what they say may not fit with what I have, the solution I have. And it's not the solution, because it isn't the question. So I sit there, and they introduce him, and he's a big shot. I said, "Excuse me, but I'm not educated, and so I've discovered things for myself. So would you mind, since I don't have an education like yourself, with your advantage, can I ask you a question?" And he says, "Okay." And there we have the person who monitors this, what they call him.
The presenter, the moderator.
The moderator, okay. And so he says, "Yes." And I said, "Do you have a degree?" "Well, yeah, of course I have a degree." I said, "Where did you get your degree?" He says, "Well, I went to school. I got a degree." And I said, "Well, did you have a teacher?" He says, "Yes." I said, "That's interesting. Are there different forms of psychiatry and psychology? Is it the only one or the other? Is others?" He says, "There are others." I said, "How do you know which one's right?" That's not good. That was a different one. He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, if you go back far enough, you'll find a person who discovered it for himself. And he never had an education. How comes you don't see the same thing? How comes he sees it and you don't? And you have to memorize it." Well, memorizing it doesn't cure much. It's only a form of stupidity. Unless you speak with wisdom and from the heart, it has no power. And to bring it back to real life, if a man does not have what Jesus has, which is an energy that is not, an energy which is not of this world. It's an energy that takes away emotion, and so that you are completely subject to your Creator, both in what you say and what you do, but it still looks normal. It still looks perfectly normal, but the words come, and the energy is the most powerful part of it because it carries with it authority. And then your presence affects them. Just you being there demoralizes them.
Your image becomes a trauma to them.
It becomes a
like what you
force.
have to offer.
It becomes a force.
Yes.
There's energy coming, but I can't feel the energy. I have no emotion. I have nothing. But through my nothing comes something. But I can't tell what it is. It just gives the words to me. And it gives me the necessary need sometimes to give a wallop, which is I've done that before. But there's a reason to fight. You don't want to have a person coming into your house and because you're a religious person, say, "I can't kill people," and let your kids be killed. You're going to have to do something, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to do that right. You have to be a soldier that does it right, not for the pleasure of it or for the fear of it. And so I'm coming to something very, very important. And it has something to do with how do you deal with Russia? That's strange, isn't it?
Yes.
All of a sudden I'm bringing Russia in. And Putin, which is a terrible stinking word, he needs a better name than that. But he doesn't understand English. But the thing is, when you have a person that is anointed to run a country, that person becomes dangerously powerful, usually, or very, very weak, and gives in to people, and the enemy is watching, and because you're getting weak, it emboldens them. You know, I talk about appeaser, and appeasers are people who want peace, but I don't know what peace is. There it is again. Appeasers means it emboldens enemies, and that's what causes war. There would be no war if it was like me. Mm-hmm. excuse me putting it that way. I don't want to sound braggadocious, but nobody messes with me. They haven't in many, many years. And I didn't know why. When I had to have a fight, it was all over in seconds, and I don't remember fighting. There's a person laying on the ground, I have to pick him up and give him a cup of coffee and say, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this, but you shouldn't have said that. Boom. And so I don't remember losing a fight, in a manner of speaking. It's only when I was angry. And then I got it, bleeding, broken ribs.
I was listening to the radio the day after you got beat up,
Is that right?
and you came on the air and told everybody the story.
I told my kids.
Yes.
I said, because I did it out of anger. Out of a person that was cruel to my daughter. And she sold her a car that was just rotten and everything else like that. So
you had a just cause, but it was the anger that polluted it.
Absolutely. But that's the only time
Right.
I've been hurt.
But you
Never.
admitted it immediately.
Immediately.
Even on the air.
Absolutely.
You were still swollen and injured and you didn't care.
I have to admit my fault.
Yeah.
I want to do it. There's some faults I don't want to talk to you about.
But people don't understand this. Admitting your faults inside of yourself, seeing your faults that are revealed to you.
It cleans it.
So even though you have the fault, you're not guilty of justifying it. No. It's a different chemistry. Exactly. So that I welcome when I see my faults.
Yes.
Because I know that if I can see it, beyond that, there's a freedom.
And energy, that invisible energy, which you cannot explain.
No.
You may be able to explain what's the other, what we have in there?
Emotion?
Emotion. We can feel emotion. We know we got emotion. We've got something that makes us, motivates us. But it's always bad.
Yes.
And so when good is good, where it could be good, it's not good because it's an animal thing. And there's no honesty in it.
Any
Never
love that you have that has emotion in it is dangerous. It's deadly poison. If you see the emotion, then you've got to realize that what you thought was love is not what you thought it was.
And so now what do? Well, you have to suffer, and you keep on suffering, and each time you react to something or not react, I mean, when you try not to react, you give in. You give in to not to be upset. But the point is you end up being upset because once you've given yourself to them, you've given them appeasement. And appeasement has made them angry, and the angry person learns how to make you angry, to give you more of yourself, and you die from cancer.
That's right.
That's one of the reasons to die from cancer. We did that. I did a show last night, one of these evenings, last week. Anyway, what I'm talking about, though, I'm just playing with it, but I want to say one thing, that we have the appeasing population will elect an appeasing president in America, because with a king you can't do much, but you do change your what do you call it?
Your president, your leader?
President. Mm-hmm. You do change him. And had we not changed to Trump, we would have been finished. It was coming. But the trouble is, we're coming back to the videos now, and the what's the name of the name?
The Putin in Russia?
Church. Not that. Sorry, I keep forgetting because I'm getting old. Okay. I do have a problem here somewhere. But what's the name of the
Fox News?
Huh?
Fox News?
Fox News, yeah. I keep forgetting that. But here they are arguing intellectually. And you're never going to get it. You can actually, if you don't know how to deal with the enemy is going to get stronger. And so even though the person who is running the program and doesn't matter what he says, he's not going to convince the left. And the left is, it's foreign. It's the Putin world, it's the Russian world. And there's a name for it, and I have forgot the name. It's Marxism. And what we have is Marxism. And it's been going on for many, many, many years because we have weak presidents. The only two was Donald Trump and Reagan. They made difference. And when the enemy sees them, they take thought, should try to mess with us. But once we choose a person who is an appeaser because we want to feel good about ourselves, so we put up there somebody who loves us, who is kind and sweet, but not good, because he doesn't know what good is. Now I'm going to come to Putin. Now, you know that each one of you sitting here is not perfect, correct? And could I say that people who murder can be forgiven? Is that correct?
That's correct.
The thief on the cross?
Yes.
Okay. And what causes a person to murder? What causes a person to do cruel things and to be liars and thieves and robbers and turning against their country and things? What causes that? They're not born that way. We put it there. The way that men and women relate to each other is upside down. Women are in charge. Adam lost to Eve, and Eve, what was behind Eve? Remember, something was behind Eve, and something was behind God. What's his name?
Adam.
Adam. Yeah. And he didn't listen. She says, I didn't die. See, I ate it. And he looked, and he was persuaded. All right, it doesn't matter. There's a lot to be said about that, because they're not guilty, really, in the long run. It's how God fixed it. He knew that was going to happen.
Yes.
Okay? Just one. But the rest of the world, because you've done this thing, so shall you become bonded to the woman as one flesh, which means the man born of woman is subject to the woman. And she continues infecting the child, either with cruelty or with fake love, which is causing codependence and keeping them from being free. I leave my kids to be free. They don't owe me anything. Free. You want to see me? Free. It's okay. I would like them to be nice to me, but still free. And we don't know how to free our children. And they rebel. And that's called freedom. But that's not good, because there's anger in it. So you see, we cannot solve our problems because we don't know what good is. So when a woman is beaten, and she says, when I grow up, I'm going to be the best mother, a little voice in her mind will say that. When I grow up, I'm going to be the best mother. But the problem is she is emboldening her husband. See, she is codependent. The child is codependent on the mother. And so therefore, he or she, the woman will be the woman if she's born into this world. But the man will be half a man. And therefore, he will look to woman for love. He will look to the woman for love and up. And so the woman has to call on something. We can't call on God. She needs him to love the hell out of her, but he embraces the hell in her and pulls it up. And there is your misery in this country.
Mm-hmm. And the children come from that.
And the children come from that, and it's a continuum. Mm-hmm. It goes forever like that in every race and color and creed. And so what needs to be known is God, and there's only one God, and there's not 1,000 different gods where you see everywhere. You got Judaism, you got Christianity, and you got 2,000 of those, 2,000 different ideas of what Christianity is. It's nuts. And so we need to not to listen to them at all. And you need to be like Roy Masters, who doesn't listen. I listen, but I see. And when I see, oh, that's interesting. Because if they hadn't have done it, I wouldn't have seen it. I learn by seeing. I also learn by trial and tribulation. And trial and tribulation is good. I like to have a good fight. To put it in the terms, not this fight, but argument fight. Right. And people who want to do harm to me, I learn to deal with it properly. And I'm still alive. And I think I'm going to be a little longer. Oh, well, I'm going to have my... Is it the will? But I'm using the word will. I want to...
You're going to... I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, I want to give everything I have.
Oh.
As a... But the word will is not good enough.
No, as your well, legacy.
See,
but there's another word.
I got him going here too.
There's another word to it. There's because I'm trying to think too, and I don't. My mind isn't that clear.
Anybody got the word for me?
Heritage. He said heritage. It's like what you want to leave.
Yes.
Is really what you want to leave, which is what was given to you, and the evidence of it in what your work.
I want it to go on.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, now I'm getting to...
And let me say this, that I was thinking a couple of days ago, we had the 4th of July came and everyone was reading from the Constitution, and someone said some really interesting words about, not the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. And he said, the Declaration begins with, these truths are self-evident. So they start out with a premise, certain things that these declarers of their independence from England are going to say, and they just make them clear statements. All men are created equal. And they had a number of statements. They have certain...
All wrong.
Right. But here's what I wanted to do. I wanted you to make your declaration of inner dependence,
yes.
which you've actually done this morning already.
Yes.
Because you've set out the truths that lead to what you've discovered about life, about our beginning with Adam and Eve's their heritage to us.
I have what you call suffered a lot. I won't tell you what that is. It's too much. But all the things, I think the good book says, everything bad happens for good for those who love the Lord. Because if you don't hate the hurter, you win. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. Now, I want to talk about Putin. And I wouldn't talk about Putin the way I would talk about Hitler. There are some people who are really, really evil. And once you got them, they have a huge number of people around them that he's created. And an army. And he wants to rule the whole world. And then we have to fight. In England, we appeased Germany. There would not have been a war if Attlee had given, Prime Minister Attlee would have given over to
Churchill.
There would not have been a war. Nobody would have died. And Hitler would have disappeared.
He would have been a footnote.
And I know how to do that. I have been given the power. Have you seen my tweet lately? I've said in my tweet, I says, I know how to overcome post-traumatic stress disorder and immunize our soldiers against it so they can do to them what was done to them, do to the enemy. So they have, and their soldiers will die from come. I know how to do all that. All I need to be is put in a position where I can speak to the country. Mm-hmm. If I can speak to the country, nobody can fight me. Mm-hmm. I mean that. I'll make a fool of him. Because in the story of Channel 11, within a few minutes, after having said, answering the questions about the person, or about the person who discovered it by himself, I said, well, I got one more thing to say. I said, what's 1 and 1? He said, what are you talking about? I'm asking you a question. I'm not going to fool you. I am. I said, what's 1 and 1? He said, do I have to ask this? The man says, yes. He said, 2. I said, how did you know that? He says, my mother told you. I says, if your mother didn't tell you, would you think it was 3? Or would you think it was 2? You had to ask your mother for that? You're still doing it. Bang, he's off. He ran off the stage. And if you can get a copy of it, Channel 11 in the 1960s, you'll see it. Mm-hmm. He ran. See? But I didn't know what I was going to say. It came out.
And it wasn't just your argument and what you said, it was the way it was said, because some people would stay and discuss and everything, but he couldn't. Somehow you struck him deeply.
Yeah. But I see the words coming out of my mouth. But it looked like it was me, but it wasn't me. Mm-hmm. If I thought it was me, it would be a sin. Even Jesus says, of myself I can do nothing. It's the Father within me. He tells me what to do. And that beautiful thing is enabling him to present himself to the audience, to the people who want to follow him. And they are wondering, how is the presence of that person affecting us so deeply? Just him standing there. See, nobody could touch him. Nobody. He threw the money changers out of the temple, and nobody touched him. Now, I would like everybody in this room to have that, but I can't force them. All I can do is represent it. And this is something that a person like myself or a person can never, ever speak except you'll be in America. You can't do it in England. You can't do it anywhere in Europe. Only in America do I have the chance to get people to see that there's another state of mind that was in the beginning. Adam should have listened or allow the will of the God to come through him. He took it himself, see that? And became subject to the woman, and so generations of every race and color and creed have got the same problem. But if you could find a nation with what I'm speaking about, you will never have war. But you are going to have a civil war if you have those two people yelling and screaming, arguing on Fox, because they come to nothing. I could go over there and take that over that, and it'd be over in a minute. And so if you want to go to see Twitter, you see what I'm asking the people to do to help me help the soldiers, and to make sure that the soldiers are immunized against being infected with post-traumatic stress disorder. But when I say I can do this myself, it seems like I'm being braggadocious, but I have to say it because most people, there are people who found it, but they're not so open so that all the people could hear it. He could be nice and kind and have a good life with his wife and things like that. But it's not often you ever see anything like that. We all need to see it, but not all will follow it, because you've got people who hate you for it. You understand that when people are really hateful, they hate innocence. That's what ISIS does. They're terrified of little children. They're terrified by the beauty of them. It burns them. See that? And so, enough of that. Now I'm going to talk about Putin again. I hope I'm not mixing it up too much.
But I know you're going somewhere with this.
I'm going
yes.
somewhere with it. I know. Let me see if I can restart that. Because it could be that I'm the person. It could be. Because I don't know anybody else who understands this. Perhaps yourself. Listening to that for the first time, even though you're doing very well. There's that one little thing you have to make sure to have because the whole purpose of life is to live forever. So when your body goes into the ground, your spirit goes on. Spirit it's a magical realm. And also, spirit is a dark realm. It's a realm we never understand. We know in the beginning of the world, there must have been a void, and the void is the fundamental of gravity. Now, so I know that, but scientists don't know it, because you couldn't have a universe if you didn't have a void, something absolutely infinitely cold to flow into. Simple. You don't have to be smart to know that. But they're just beginning they don't know anything about it. They know how to use gravity for math and things like that. But they don't know whether it's a push or a pull. I know what that is. And also I know from just watching and listening and seeing how foolish they are, how weak they are, how learned they are, how stupefied. Yet there are people who do things without having to go to school, and those are the ones that give us the best things that we're having in this country. And so we put aside some people, but I'm talking about most people. So just like everybody sitting here in this house, have problems they cannot control. There could be people in this room that have thought of murder. Now, and there's not a lot of people here, but can I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, have you ever thought of killing yourself? How many people? Okay, you thought of it? And there's 3 or 4 people. How many people thought of murder? Yes? 2. But the point is, that's awful. It could go, if he's pushed hard enough and does not know how to do it, is to kill somebody. And the prisons are full of people like that. Full. Millions. That could go away. Because anybody who would talk to them in the right way and presented, many of them would recover and others might not. Okay. But then we've divided the good from evil in a good way, and let's have a good fight.
Yeah.
Got it? Because God said, in the end times, if I don't interfere, no one will live. Now, could it be that Roy Masters is the person? And it's not something that I think it's a dangerous job. it could kill me, but I don't mind because I don't fear death, because I know death is dealing with the world you're living in and coming out and never becoming stronger. In other words, it's important to have stress. It is essential because you have to be tried to see who you belong to. Correct?
It's very true.
See?
Everyone runs from stress.
But that way you have a choice, a real choice.
You get to see what you're made of without pretending to be something.
So I'm talking to my audience that way. But when it comes to Putin, not every person who's put into power is evil all the way through. That person, and they're very rare. And maybe rare because they don't have what I just said. But let's assume that this person, of Putin, sees Donald Trump and he admires that because he's never had a father.
Yeah.
And people who listen to Roy Masters also get better because I have given to me, not from me, but through me. They must understand that nothing can come from me. Nothing can come from you. Nothing can come from you. It's just business as usual and death. See, Jesus says, narrow is the way and few that find it. But it doesn't have to be few when we have Facebook. Site kind of thing. And put money into that and reach out to the whole world. And it's very powerful because the wicked ones are terrified of perfection. Perfection, I'm not perfect. I'll never be perfect. The only way I can be perfect is to listen to my Father in heaven and to do exactly what he wants and not plan anything. Like I didn't plan anything. All I know is I needed to talk about Putin. Now, can I ask you your question, because you are knowledgeable with politics a little bit more than myself. I'm not interested in politics. But when I hear people talking on
Fox.
Fox, it shows you how much I think of Fox. It's not
It's a
enough.
wily creature.
It's just blah, 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 blah. You see, that's nothing. It goes nowhere.
Let me add this. I remember, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, you mentioned something about seeing Putin and Trump together, and you noticed something. And I hadn't seen much of it because I don't watch regular television. I don't have cable. So I went to the internet and did a search of Putin and Trump, and a couple of still pictures came up. And sure enough, in one of those pictures, I saw on Putin's face the very thing you described. Just in that, of the 4 pictures that came up, there it was.
But there are Americans who are in positions of power who see Putin murdering lots of people and being hateful because it's possible. For instance, if you know Hitler, it's clear. But there's still a political fault in Attlee, who gave in and gave in and gave in and emboldened him. And once he got there, he'll kill everything. And anybody who'd ever say anything that's out of his reach, they'll die. It had to be, we had to have a war with 150 million people died. They did not need to die. if Attlee had given over the position he had to Churchill. Now, I say, if I can be reached, if I can be on TV anywhere you want to put me, I know what will come through me. I don't care what, I'm not going to go figure out what I'm going to say. I have the confidence. Confideo means with God, right? Confide. He has an energy that is forever. The energy he gives to a person who gives himself to God is the energy that lives forever and ever and ever. And beyond that, I cannot go. But this much I can say. We all need to find it. And we all need to, it would be nice to practice it a while, but I've practiced it up to my 90th birthday, and it will not go away. And so that's the reason why I tweeted, tell Donald Trump, I can do this, I can do that, all the things we were speaking about just now. Now, it sounds braggadocious, but as you see, I have a good way of saying things, meaning I'm a happy person. And a happy person is a free person. That's what happiness is freedom. So you can say whatever you want or whatever is coming through you. And while it's coming through you, you're learning something. And you're becoming stronger and stronger. But you're still an ordinary person.
But you're becoming simpler.
My soul.
You're becoming less of the old you and more of the spirit that's running through you. And you have an appetite for it. Some people are afraid of it because it shows their weaknesses.
The word appetite is a good word because people have an appetite for the worst.
All the wrong things.
Yeah.
And they have an appetite for emotion. You have an appetite for the state of non-emotion where the energy that will reveal any fault you have, but you're willing to bear it.
Absolutely.
And that recreates you cell by cell. It recreates your whole nature.
Well, ever since I started many years ago, I was very glib. I'm not glib anymore. I'm a different person. I'm very careful of what comes out of me. And it comes through me. The minute I think that I am originating the thought, I'm dead.
You're wordless.
It's always from God. And only God has love. I don't love God. I'm not able to love God. I can appreciate him, but I cannot give him love because he's got all the love there is. It's just go ahead and do as you're supposed to do. And there is kind of happiness. But it's not happy, happy, laugh. Yes, I can be funny. I can tell jokes. I can do magic tricks. I'm just an ordinary person. I don't have to walk around with a long face and try to fix everybody. It is just being part of the world, but being different. When Jesus came, he was just an ordinary person, and he was gentle and kind and thoughtful. But his presence has power. And the person who hates him can sense it and is burning. And he has a chance quietly inside his head. I hate that man. I'm going to get even with him. But the more he does it, the more he does it, the worse he gets. the worse he gets because he feels frustrated he can't get this person who looks like he's weak. I don't. I look like an easy target, but the fact that he has to have emotion from me to empower him to hit me, or to do anything, or to lie, or to steal, because the energy that he's been inflicted with, in other words, he's been covered with it. It's there. It's there because he's cruel. It's not there for you. You can hear me. But to a person who's cruel, he gets entangled with what he will push you a little bit or be rude to you. And the whole idea is to get you to be upset, being turned around the other way in his favor. And then he's got power to hurt you. But if that doesn't happen, he walks away. He doesn't understand why he's afraid. But he's troubled. But the trouble is this. He can wake up one morning having been tormented by his experience with yours truly and says, why am I being angry with Roy Masters? And it's all over. But if he doesn't, he gets angry, but he can't do anything. And the more he tries to do anything, if he succeeds in doing anything, I deal with him the same way. And there's two energies. One is all powerful, and the other one can be all powerful if you give yourself to it. Who understands where I'm going? Yes, sir. Is there any questions so far? Oh, yes. One more reason. So, having said all that, is it possible that Putin was brought up like a gangster, as you find in prison? I have been in prison and helped people in prison, but not many times. And you should see, especially the women, they cry, they understand me. The women understand it more than the men. They suffer the most. Women suffer the most because if they lose their beauty, they're not worth anything as far as the world's concerned. Am I correct?
That's right.
Okay. Otherwise, men can do whatever they want. It's really weird. But I think that's about it. But what I'm saying...
We need to finish off the thing about Putin so we make it clear.
So what's happened with Putin, he is not a bad person. He's no more different except he's got a lot of control over people. But he's beginning to hate it. It's beginning to trouble him. And that's how lots of people who are murderers and cruelty, there's millions of them. And they're back in the saddle again as far as the world is concerned. And they are grateful to be alive and more pure. You see this all the time. It's mentioned, it's not new, that men who have been murderers and women murderers and whatever it is, they have come to their senses. And that is freedom. They become good Christians, and you've seen it, and you can just watch for it. You see it's happened. So why couldn't it be Putin? Why could he be sick and tired of what's been compulsive? Remember, it's compulsive, right? Mm-hmm. It's always compulsive. Once you start, you can't stop. The minute you start to get upset, so you're 1 year old, the minute you get upset, you're beginning to lose your sweetness, and your everlasting possibility. But later on, you can also find it because it's troubling you. There's two things going on. You want to be a good person, but you can't be. So you do the best you can, but it's still not good enough. You can die from suicide because you've been lying to yourself all the time. There was a person, one of
Robin
the,
Williams?
it was one of the presidents. What was the several presidents? What's this third president further back?
Well, there were the Bushes, the Clintons. Okay.
Yeah. And then, but anyway, I'll just leave that alone for a little bit because it's not pure enough. But you can see that if I was given opportunity, a lot could happen. They could kill me. I'm not so worried about it. I'm not fearful of that. So all they need to do is let me do my thing, help the soldiers. That couldn't hurt. Mm-hmm. And they get better. And then I can go on helping them to be resilient to being post-traumatic stress disorder and to the point where they are more, that the enemy gets post-traumatic stress disorder, let them all die.
Just their presence will intimidate the enemy.
Just the presence of a soldier. Mm-hmm. But the soldiers are not taught properly.
But to take what you were saying about Putin, which is you recognize that he saw, you could see in his eyes, he saw something in Trump that somehow he could work with this man but not manipulate him.
It's the father he's never had.
And Trump, right after that meeting, he still criticized Russia.
Now, I want to say to the audience, could this be possible? Why don't you consider it? And watch the people who hate him. He's killed many people. But that hatred is a judgment.
Yes.
Now, I can judge Hitler. Oh, I see what he's like, but there's no hate. Mm-hmm. I can see Putin. I know what he's done. And it's awful. And he is disturbed. But his only opportunity is Trump. He is the father he's never had. Can you imagine what would happen? Ladies and gentlemen, instead of being angry with him and not wanting to have anything to do with him, he'll go on doing it. Correct? What's wrong with it when he wants to be a friend of Trump? Can you imagine the immediate magic? It's almost like the world will stop. That's all I would say.
And it dovetails into what you're saying about what you want to do with the soldiers. It could be we're at the cusp of a very special time when everything could line up so that the world could change in a remarkable way.
Even as soldiers.
And we're seeing people we thought were our friends are not our friends.
That's correct.
And Fox that you thought was representing your ideas has now become a chattering box of confusion.
Now, let's assume you're going to have a civil war. And let's assume that the good people have listened to me. I tell you that if I could get enough people the way we described, you would see them terrified. Absolutely ridiculously terrified. Our president can already do it, but he needs a little help.
Yes.
Roy Masters can help, possibly. I think this is my future. I would like it to be my future because I know what to do and scare the heebie-jeebies out of them. Mm-hmm. That's it. I've got protection. It's nice. That isn't something a good person ever gets before they murder him. in any other country. So I'm done. Any questions? Would you please
Did you want to come
give
up
it,
here?
who,
It's,
Do you want me to just stand here?
oh, would you?
gee, why don't you
Yeah,
come
why
on
don't
up here,
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
Thank you. You can come back when she's finished. I'm going to finish her off anyway. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
You're doing much better.
I am.
Good.
Two things.
Put it.
Oh, okay. Two things that I wanted to share was there's three things actually, and one goes out to
Nice and clear so I can hear it.
okay. One goes out to the audience is that once you hear the truth and you begin to get well, you also have a lot of hell that has to be looked at, and it can feel like you're being overwhelmed or that you're not going to make it. But what you're seeing is the hell that needs to come out of you, so don't give up.
That's correct.
That's one thing. The other thing is that I see that when you speak of Adam, who fell from grace through Eve's temptation, and how he needs to go and connect to God.
No, you leave him alone for the time being. It's too complicated.
Okay,
He will not be harmed. God understood this. If he made 1,000,000 of them, they'd all make the same mistakes.
that's right.
Only one made the mistake. Everybody else inherited it.
Right.
And because you inherited it, you're not guilty. But because you inherited it, you're acting the same way, the bad way, even to kill. But still, you're not guilty. There's still a position for the thief on the cross that says, but you don't talk to him that way. He's done a lot of bad things. We deserve what we got. And then he says, therefore you shall be ready in paradise. You talk to the person who admitted he was wrong while he was on the cross. Remember that? The other one
Yes.
The other one was cruel.
Yes.
See.
So I was talking about Adam for a point because when Eve, you said, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. You said that when man is born of woman, he becomes attached, subject to the woman.
He has to go back to the woman for love, to support his manliness. And he needs the love from her, but she hasn't got any love. It's the love of what's wrong with him. It's loving what's wrong with us. It's not true loving, but it's called love. It's really lust.
And
That's what it is.
when you talk about Putin, all I see is my own self as a sinner
Yes.
and as as an Eve who aligned herself with the spirit that tempted her.
Yeah.
So
Yes. You're almost there.
I see. I'm kind of jumbling because I've been seeing
No,
a
no,
lot
don't
this
worry.
week.
You're doing fine.
So one thing that I see is they say women submit to your husbands. And I don't feel like at this point my husband's there, which is beside the point. My job is to submit to the will of God, because then I will become a good woman.
A little bit. Just let me help you just a little bit.
Okay.
Your husband's no damn good. Yes or no?
He's just damaged.
It's nice of you, but he's still no damn good.
Okay.
Don't excuse him.
Okay.
All right. So you resent him. honest,
Okay.
okay? But he can't help himself. You forgot that. You've got something. You have something, and you've heard it from me. Understand that he caught that from his mother, from the failing of his father. And every man on earth, barring a few, is like that. And every woman is suffering like you.
Right. I understand everything that you say, and it's inside my soul. There's just this something that I believed was separating me. And that's what I'm seeing right now,
What?
is that this thing that's being exposed in this moment has always been able to be in control of me because it was always believed to be stronger.
No, it's him looking for love from you, and you haven't got it to give, and all you've got is the dark side of the force to give him.
Yes.
And it makes him feel better because you can give him sex and compulsively and in a very unhealthy way, and you're emboldening him to be a bully or an appeaser. The best thing to do is say, not tonight, thank you.
Well, he's actually, anyways, that's okay. I understand that. I understand that part. So,
Let him divorce you.
no, I don't want to get a divorce.
No, but he may not.
I,
He may not realize. He may realize that you're a person, and he needs to love the hell out of you. Try to express to him, please don't pull from me what you think of as love. It's just pleasure. It's just the pleasure.
he's not.
Yes.
I think now I'm at the repulsive state to him, so
Well,
that we
but
don't
you-
have that problem right now. And frankly, I don't mean to be rude, but I don't care about him in this moment.
So what's the problem?
So my issue that I'm trying to what I come here, I become a part of the realm that I want to belong to. So when I come here, I want to expose this part of me that's not, that I believe to be me and has ruled me and hurt my children. And I came up here because
Look,
I could feel it
why don't you
separating.
finish with it today? If I give you a cross today, it should be over.
You would
No, it
think,
can be.
after all this, it's okay if it's not. That's kind of what I wanted to share with everybody is my journey has been a very long journey.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Because until the day I die, I'm going to be learning things.
Look,
I came to you this right now because I want this thing inside of me to know that I'm on God's side. And
No.
I've come up here and said this before,
yes or no?
but it just needs to be exposed. And I think I've allowed it to sneak in a little bit. I've made excuses a little bit. I've done a little something. Oh, it's okay for this little
It's no
something.
good.
No, I realize that.
You need to do it the right thing and take the consequences.
Yes.
And the consequences, if you deal with it properly, is part of virtue.
Yes.
You're a whole new person.
Yes.
Give it up. Speak your mind, and what the mind that is not yours anymore. It's not the woman's mind. It's the Spirit of God, which Adam should have, as well as you. Women have the same energy. Understand, when you love God, whether you're a man or a woman, emotion goes away forever. And if your husband still has it, you might be able to bring him around because he cannot upset you to give in to him and his silly little needs. You understand that? And then you can be a gracious gentleman, lady. No, you can be a gracious lady even if he doesn't deserve it. Be an example. Be a beautiful example and make him ashamed. Don't try to fix him. Only be an example of how he should be.
I only want to fix me
That's right.
because he has to find his own job.
But he can't find it because you have to be perfectly functioning. You have to be perfectly functioning as he should be.
Can I just say in this moment, I'm a little embarrassed. Because selfishly, I just always wanted to be loved.
No, but not by him.
No, not
He
by-
hasn't got it.
Well, because but
No,
by
he
anybody-
wants love from you, and you have to pull it up from hell to give it to him.
I know, but I've wanted it so desperately, and I'm only saying this to you because I'll pull it from anybody.
No, you can't pull it from
I
any-
know I can't. That's I'm admitting this to you.
No, you don't want to bother with anybody else right now.
Well, I know that's what I'm trying to share with you is I think that's part of my sin is the little babies or little children. You know, you go to them and that spirit of Eve pretends that it's loving.
You don't know
That
how
little
to love you
person
don't
and
know how to
really
love your own children, do
You're
you?
trying to take something away from them.
Yes, that's right.
And I just want to be able to stop crying for one thing. I just want to expose it. That's all. I'm only up here because I just don't care who knows what about me.
The world has heard you. What more do you want? You've done it. No, you haven't. What's missing?
I don't know. There's that.
No, what's missing is paradise.
You know what's missing is it feels desperate, like it's trying to make me. It's trying to make something feel.
No, it's
like
not.
it desperately has to.
Listen carefully. Every fear, keep it up there. Every fear you have, listen carefully, is not you. It's afraid. It is afraid right now, but you're not afraid.
No,
No, but it is.
very much.
And
so.
it acts through you and acts as though you are afraid. You're not afraid. It's afraid. That's how we get it. We need to separate you from it.
That's
and
my
so
problem.
if I give you the cross right now, would you understand that I'm not exercising you? I'm exercising the thing. Got it? The thing inside you is afraid of me. Is it not?
It's only a little bit afraid because it's so deep
No, because-
inside my
no,
soul.
only
It's
a
like
little-
it doesn't have to let go of me. It's
No, because you're not seeing clearly. It is afraid. It's not just a little bit and a little bit for you. It is all it. You are innocent. You were born innocent and it got inside you, and that's not your fault, like Adam. It's not your fault. Can you see it? Can you see it when it got into you from your mother?
I know it came from the devil.
No, from your mother.
Okay.
Through your mother.
Well, I can understand it because I see what I do to my own.
Yes, but it comes through you. It isn't you. The things that you've done.
Okay.
Nothing you've ever done was you. Everything that was wrong is it.
But I
And
know
that's it.
I understand that so simply. I do, but I
All
don't.
right.
So why does that thing get to stay?
Because you haven't understood what I said. You are not guilty. You were born innocent, and you're not born like Adam was, and you're not born like Eve was. That was the beginning.
I can
There was
see
an
that.
order.
I can see that. I don't see that.
But when you come
100%.
into the world, you'll come into the woman who has not been loved properly. And therefore, the man is subject to him, to her. The man is subject to the woman. He looks for the love, but that is not love. That is lust. It is sucking up from the dark side of the force and giving him feeling. And there's your emotion. There's the emotion. You encourage the emotion of feeling. But that's not you.
It's always hurt me.
But listen, you are not guilty. God loves you. Please listen to me. I don't want to force it. It shouldn't be a force of me. I can't help you. Roy Masters cannot help you. But what's in him, flowing through me into you, to make you a good mother. And then you will pass that on to your children, and you will pass it on to your husband. And if he doesn't like it, get rid of him. If he doesn't like it, let him leave. You'll do fine. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of losing everything. I'm putting on proof that I want to do what would kill me. They would want to kill me for this. I don't care. But it's not so bad for you. Let it die. If you can see it and know that you're not guilty, that the guilt was passed on from your mother through the failing of your father, that's all. You still have intuition. Can you see the intuition in me? And can you see and accept that intuition?
Yes.
That actually what it is? It isn't you.
Yes.
So let me speak to what isn't you. Give me that cross. I ask you, may I use it?
Yes.
Not for you, but for it.
Okay. That's good, because
Look,
when you want to use it for me, I take the love from it. When I sit here and I'm not afraid of the cross, it's because me takes the cross for love. But if you want to take that to scare the other thing, then I accept.
Yes, it's for the other thing. Understand, it's the other thing. Whatever you are, come out. Come out. Out now. You don't belong there.
It's very intertwined in my whole body.
Come out.
Feet, it's in my
No.
back.
No, never mind your back. Nothing. It's it. I want it. I want it to have agony for being inside you. Agony. 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 I see you. I see you. And you're always dead. You're dead. And the only reason why you're alive is that you're alive in this woman. You stole her.
Yes.
You stole her. You stole her. You stole her. Come out. Come out! Now! In Jesus' name. Now.
That feels like I'm going to faint.
No, never mind. Faint. Do anything. Out. 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 Now, you're not guilty. You're redeemed. You're redeemed.
It sucked the life out of me.
There's light inside you.
Or there is light, but it's still.
No, you still see it. But
What?
get part of it. Get apart from it. It's not you.
Okay, let me find God. Hold on.
It's not you. It's been using your body. It's been using your mind. It's not
So
you.
much I think I'm not me. I don't, like forever it's had me.
I know, but you're like it because you are accepting it.
I never knew who I was.
It's all right. You know now. You know now. You know it. Let it go. Let it go.
Oh, just
Come out. Come out. Come out.
like it's gonna kill me.
It will not. Even if it kills you,
It's
it,
okay.
let it kill you. It can't kill you. It cannot.
It can't, huh?
No,
No.
it can't hurt you. It's a lie. It has no power. It only takes the power from you. It gets the energy from you. Don't feed it anymore. Let it go. Let it go. It's a lie. It's always a lie. And you got it from your parent. Which one?
My dad died when I was a baby. My mom's had it bad. My mom was like me. She was a tricker.
I know. Stay away from her. Stay away from her.
My mom was a tricker. And I think I love her. And I want to love my mom. But she was a tricker.
I'm the father you never knew. I'm your father.
I don't want to hate my mom, Roy, because she's
Don't
old.
hate her.
She's
She couldn't
tried to
help
be
it.
good. She does try
She
to
couldn't help it. She
be
couldn't help
tricked
it.
me. She did.
She couldn't help it.
Okay.
She couldn't help it. Nor can you.
Okay.
But you have a chance. Now. Let it go. Let it come out of me. Come out to me. I can take care of it. Come on. Give it to me. Give it to me. Let me have it.
Okay.
Give it to me. Put him in me. Put him in me.
Oh, he won't go in you. I just want him out of me. I don't care.
I know, but just
Hell.
that he'd be stuck in midair.
He will. He doesn't want to be stuck, so he wants to be stuck in me. Can I just say that my mom tricked me? I just need to say that again.
Cry.
I've been afraid to be mad at her because she's a good lady now.
Don't be angry with it. It can't help itself any more than you can help yourself. Come to my side.
I'm on your side.
Come to me. Come to me. You'll be all right now. Just let it go.
Roy, I know I'm going to be all right. I feel that I'm going to be all right. I feel the presence of God inside my being. I just don't always, like, when you see someone like your mom and and you think you're not supposed to
Feel my strength. Feel it.
I do.
Come out. 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 Forever. Leave this child alone. Leave you alone. You're a sweet thing. I care for you. God cares for you. He forgives everything. You couldn't help it. You came into the
I did
world.
bad things. I was mean to people. I tricked them like my mom tricked me. And I didn't know it. And I didn't know it. And it seems so stupid.
Don't make it difficult. Make it simple.
All right, hold on.
No more crying. No more. Just let it go. Take a deep breath and let it come out. One deep breath. Out. Out. Out.
It just feels nice
Out.
to feel your love. I don't want to
God in me. God in me is I am. God is in me. God is in me.
Does it feel like I'm trying to take something from you?
No, I have more where that came from. I have everything. I have everything I need, day and night, day and night. I have everything I need, and you will have everything. I want you to be the extension of me in your spirit. Be the extension of me. Just love me. Love where I'm coming from. Love where I'm coming from. Not me. I'm just an agent. I'm a change agent. All right?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't want to let go of your hand. It feels like it's like the end or something. You can have your seat back.
You can have your mic back.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, Roy.
You're not that bad.
Thank God. I have a revelation that I'd like to share. Oh, sure. You've helped me immensely in my marriage. It's taken me a long time to understand, to be patient, not to react to the nonsense that goes on, to love my wife, and not expect something from her. Many years in my marriage, it's unfortunately been the opposite way.
You're an appeaser.
Yes,
That's not good.
exactly. My oldest son is sick. He's married. He's has a family of his own.
What's the sickness name?
My oldest son has thyroid cancer.
Oh,
And
bring him in.
I'd like to, Roy.
Bring him into my house.
I'd like to. At this time, I don't know that he'll come. He's been going to
No.
a separate church for the last 8 years. He's always liked you from afar, but it has
You need
has
to,
other
You
influences.
need to take a chance. You need to take your chance and take hold of your son and say, no, we're not going to let you take it to this church. He's waiting for you to be a man.
Well, there's been no shortage of me trying to work with him. So
Say that again.
I have strongly advocated for a long time now that he come and speak with you. And
But how old is he? 6?
how old is my son? He's 35.
Oh, he's 35.
He's 35. Yeah.
All right,
You remember him? He actually used to be a board op for you 10 years
it's
ago.
been a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. His name's Jacob. And so he is,
There's not a whole lot I can do
yeah.
unless you can convince him by strength in you. You need to let that, excuse me, that bitch go. That's a bitch. You've been married to a bitch. And tell her I said so.
Yeah.
And blame it on me.
Yeah. So
But you yielded,
I did.
and that's affected him.
Yes. And that's why I sit here. Because he was raised in an environment that
Had no father.
had effectively no father.
Yeah. I know that.
I said the words, My son reminds me of you remember Tony Snow?
Who?
Tony Snow, the talk show host that died of cancer.
Yeah, he's a nice gentleman.
Anyone who knows
He's
my
looking
son
everything.
loves my son. My son is
He's an appeaser.
yes, but he's a very gracious and very, very sweet.
Yeah, but he's giving up a lot of energy
Yes.
to get that state of
Yes.
relevance.
Yes.
And we need to talk to him before he dies. Bring him around. I'd be happy to talk with him.
I'd love for him to talk.
You're my friend.
Yes.
I will help you.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you. I had reservations about, coming and speaking publicly about this because it's a private matter.
Yeah, but it's not a dangerous private matter.
No, it isn't. And
It's
so,
everybody else's problem.
yes. And you spoke well of it earlier today because the thing is that appeasement is something that when you're an appeaser, you don't want to admit.
You want to be a good
You
person.
want to be a good person.
And he wants to be a good person.
Yes. And he's done a lot of good things. He really has, but
But it takes
I have said this-
energy. It
Right.
takes a lot of energy.
Exactly. And I have said this before to you, and it's something that it's deeply dawned on me is that there are a lot of good people in the world, but they're just not good enough because they're coming from the wrong energy.
That's right.
And I thank God that I have at least the wisdom to see that. And I also take responsibility for the fact that my son was raised in a home where he saw too much appeasement. And I have stood up. I have said what I've needed to in my home. But I've also at too many times been angry when I shouldn't have been.
It ruins it.
It does. Because the love's not there.
What you need is to sit down and not a 7-minute meditation is all you really need.
Yes.
All you need to do is not try to make it work. Just see what happens. But in your heart, all it has to be, I want to help my son. I am guilty of not standing up to my wife, who would be different today or gone. Either way, it works for you.
Yes.
See?
And let me say something about that, because the thing is that this has been a little struggle that I've gone through that you've said it a million times, and it's very difficult for people to understand, to get this. And of yourself, you can do nothing. And it's a very profound thing to me because I see that God's always waiting on me, and that the meditation process is really a form of kind of like an abandoning yourself.
Or
and
transcending.
yes, transcending. And I've spent much time trying to meditate. And
But effort.
and
And
even
there's
though
your ego.
whatever
their
degree,
ego.
there was some effort involved with it. Okay.
No good.
No good. No good. I wanted to say that.
Well, I don't know. What you have to find is the graciousness of speaking to your son. I don't know what to tell you, but you will know it. It will come out of your mouth, and he will see it, and he may not see it. That's the chance you take. There's no guarantee.
Right.
But
You very beautifully spoke on Friday evening about cancer. I felt it was fortuitous. I sent him the audio file. I asked him. I even kind of flagged the time frame when you spoke about it on the show. And I thank you for that. You were there for me. And I am there for my son, but just like you say, if they will hear it, they'll hear it. And if they don't want to hear
you
it,
need to tell your son, I'm a coward. I'm an appeaser to your mother. I'm ashamed of it. He wouldn't be in this state. He wouldn't be trying to be better than me because I'm no damn good. I was just pretending to be good. I'm an appeaser. I made your mother what she is. And she was not good. She is not a good woman. She's a willful woman.
She is a very willful woman.
Yes. And so he wanted to be like you and better. He hated his mother. Guilt. But then he wants to be better. And he looks to you. And you support that. But you need to talk to him very seriously. Look, sit down. Let's have a drink. Let's have a meal. I need to share. This is my suffering. How can you help me? Get him to help you in a sense, in a way that you need to talk to him. I don't know how to say that. That's not well said. I'm sorry. But you need to speak to him in a different energy. Mm-hmm. You got to find that energy. If you don't find the energy, it won't happen. And the words that come out of you will not have any authority. I'm an authority. But I'm just an almost 90-year-old geezer. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, excuse me. Ooh. But the point is, I live moment by moment, always not getting upset, getting strong sometimes, but no anger. Understand? Strong if you have to be, but no anger. Strength that comes from, like Jesus throwing everybody out of the temple. Get out, and nobody touched him. That's the attitude. You can be strong, but not wrong. You need to find the energy. The energy is the secret. The energy carries with it salvation.
I have that inside me. It is
I
living.
always know it's there.
It's living inside me. I take responsibility for my.
Listen, you need to say.
I just take responsibility for the moments that I've given into, impatience, and frustration.
You made him hungry for it, didn't you?
Not
You
being
set
an
him
example.
When you set him up, you made him hungry. When you set him up for love, he's going to look for love everywhere he went and give himself to other people.
He in effect has. He really has. That's why I said that. I don't. You may not remember who Tony Snow is, but he is a very gracious man that people liked a lot. And he said he didn't need to die of cancer, and it just went right through me. Like, Tony Snow did not need to die of cancer.
He didn't.
And yet he was a perfect example of a gracious human being, but he died of cancer.
That's
My
right.
son's the same kind of personality.
This is not a healthy thing, to pretend to be something you're not. It's worse, just as bad as something bad. You try to play God, basically.
Yeah. This is in some ways more difficult, because it's like you get a lot of positive reinforcement from the world when people see that you do good things and that you're helpful to people, and
they help themselves to you.
yes.
I think you've done.
Yes. I just wanted to try to be as straight as I could.
I think that's nice. I know you're a good man, but still, have a nice talk with him and fess up. Says, listen, son, I have some things I've done wrong. Get his attention. I've done something terribly wrong to you. What's the matter, Dad? Well, please don't get upset with me. let me tell you what I did and what I didn't do. It couldn't hurt.
No, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else? You can sit. So what say you?
Pretty heavy.
It's
heavy.
I think it's nice. I think it's a good thing. It's something that when this lady sat in the chair, she's been here before, but she's dangerously infected.
Yes.
But she's still a good thing in there.
Yeah. I could see the little girl in her as she was going through these experiences.
Yes.
And yet, the difficulty is God wants us to, you remember Jesus said, return as a little child.
That's
and
right.
everyone wonders, well, how do we do that? Do we act like children? How can we lose what but it's not, we don't return on our
You
own.
have to realize, as you get older, that you're born into the culture, and the culture gets into you, and it's not your fault.
No.
Therefore, you are relevant to salvation.
The deepest realization that I can remember having, which wasn't that long ago, was that I could see...
Where's your...
I've got it.
Okay.
I could see that I was out of control. I had no control over what I did, and that I was subject to my crazy nature, and I realized that's okay, which means to say, I don't have to be in control anymore. It was just like two realizations at once. The realization that my crazy nature is out of control and I cannot make it do what I want it to do or be what I want it to be. And the second realization came right along with it, and that's, I'm all right with that. And that is the, I'm all right.
Explain that part.
What it means is, this is my nature, this is what God's done, and by saying I'm all right with that, it's like I'm forgiving God. Even though I don't have the power to forgive God, I'm accepting his what is Adam's curse. I'm accepting the way he's done, the burden he's put on me, and he wants to take from me. I'm accepting that. And as a result, it's changed. I'm putting it in words, but it changed my polarity.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Because the bad happens for good.
Yes.
See? Because you know that you had a bad side, and you know you have a good side, but you stop struggling to fix it because you know you can't.
God, that's the miracle. That's what he spent my whole life teaching me. And it took me 65 years to learn this is a lesson. And I said, oh, okay. And everything changed.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, and I appreciate yours. That's neat. We had a nice discussion this morning. And would you please consider that I am nearly 90 years old. I like what I'm doing. And if I get to be 100, I'll be doing it, even though I'll be a little squeaky. But would you support the program? Because my legacy is beginning to, I'm here at Alan's house business because I need to be able to leave behind everything I've done so that you can have it at no charge. Thousands and thousands. If you have no idea how I've tackled every single problem, one after the other, and it cures most people. And all I want is that you take it. Eventually, we're going to have a relationship where you take it for free and leave a donation if you want to, and wait till it works. That's all. Thank you very much. Post Office Box 1000, Grants Pass, Oregon 97528, FHU.com. And I'm on Facebook. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you.